Hello, my friends, and welcome to part 3 of Horizon Burning Shores with a Therapist. So grateful for your attendance. It's been wonderful to have so many of you along for the ride. I am always grateful for your attendance and for the fact that you are willing to follow me along through these playthroughs and engage with the content. I know that there are some people that are very passionate about this playthrough, and I'm grateful to all of you. I know there's some folks that might be watching it just because you want the mental health bits that come from it. Maybe you're not that interested in the game itself. I appreciate you being here as well. So leave a like, leave a comment, all that fun stuff, and let's see what's in this office. I will say, as a result of my cat stepping on this, I don't hear audio, which is going to be... This is not going to be good if this is the case. So, hang tight for a second. I'm going to have Sean cut that out. There we go. Okay. Got it. Let's roll. Vim, thank you for the gifted sub. Adrian, thank you for the sub. Ursak, thank you for the sub. Adrian, thank you for the gifted subs. My goodness. Thank you very much, friends, for the love. I do not have an activity feed right now, so. All right, here we go.
This must have been Londra's living quarters. Right at the center of where he worked. Let's see what we can find.
That relic. Is it some sort of old gun?
A gift from a so-called friend. A reminder to always watch your back. Wonder what that's about.
What's this for?
What is it with games not giving you extra shit and not giving you enough time to access it because the person in the game is talking about it? It's like so frustrating to me. All right, anyway. From Jack. A gift from a so-called friend, a reminder to always watch your back. Walter. A contact in Botswana says black rhino numbers are approaching the threshold. The regs are trying to keep it hush, so we've got first dibs as soon as the lights green. Wanted to give this to you in person, but Evelyn's got an early call on set. Don't worry, all seems above board with her co-star so far, but I'll keep a close eye on her. Happy birthday, man. Jack. Ugh. Let's go shoot black rhinos, because that's fun. And the shit rich people do to pass time. I again want to appreciate, as I do every once in a while in these games, that somebody out there at Guerrilla was tasked with making all of the objects that are in this room. Like, you have all this bottle diversity here. You got this little statue chilling here. You got this statue chilling here. Like, it's wild to me how much diversity there is in the environment. It makes it so much more immersive, but there's so much work on things that people just run right past. Just don't even think about it. Like, oh, look at that statue. Like, somebody spent time modeling that thing and making it look as cool as it is. I just appreciate that immensely.
It's some kind of award, I think. Londra's wife was pretty well known in her time. Strange he'd keep this around. Sounded like they weren't on the best of terms at the end.
Love can make it hard to let go.
Are you speaking from experience, Seika? That had some I have experience with that vibes. I'm gonna file that one away. Got a little treadmill in here. Little California King.
Security logs for the facility. There's a recent entry.
I'm growing impatient, Nova.
Data retrieval is almost complete. I've primed the north array for beamcast.
And you're acquiring everything from aeronautics and special ops, yes? Including the files on MSP.
Correct. There. Ready for transmission. It's a shame we have to revive that particular program, though.
Nova, darling, we have a very difficult task ahead of us. We can't afford to go soft. Reduce your empathy matrix by 15%, please.
Adjusted.
Wonderful. Now transmit the files immediately so we can get the hell out of here. This place feels like a goddamn tomb.
Yeah, turn off that empathy. We can't
What
be
was
having
all that about?
The north array sounds like a transmitter. If we can find it, maybe we can track Landra to whatever hole he crawled into.
Sure, but what did he come back for?
I'll explain later. Let's find a way out.
Okay, but I'll hold you to that.
Good, as you should. That makes a lot of sense. Data point discovered. Empathy. Yeah, I mean, we don't have time for me to explain everything we're doing here, but... Find the transmitter. Oh! Did you look at that? Prospero incident. From HC Seccom, Albers. Members of a splinter cell, possibly an offshoot of the defunct Purity Action Europe group. They had operatives among the miners, along with a shuttle pilot. All were eliminated while attempting to disable our automated defenses, but I hate to think of what might have happened if they had managed to destabilize Prospero's orbit. Simulations show that they could have successfully targeted Oslo, Copenhagen, or Stockholm. We obviously need additional protection, so maybe it's time to take another look at MSP. Please send me everything you have on the last set of trials, including the data corrupt. Have I seen Yellowstone? No.
Okay, transmitter should be somewhere nearby. That big statue looks promising.
Those machines are in our way. Gotta clear them out.
Do we? Okay.
Let's get this done!
Whoa. That's a machine I haven't seen before.
Hunt's over.
All right.
Good work.
Apex Skydrift. We'll explore a little bit here. Just because this is cool. Nothing up here? Really? You're not gonna give me a little goodie for climbing those stairs? Boo. What's up, dude?
I've got your back! We got them all.
Okay. Kill machines. Yeah, there we go. One more. Dude, those guys have like no armor.
You sure know how to handle that weapon. More coming!
Yeah, I do. Oh. What a shot. Dude. So many birds. Gotta be close to it. Dude, holy crap.
I think that's the last of them. Now let's take a look at that statue.
That thing better have answers.
Yeah.
Looks like this is part of a transmitter. Okay, Landra. Where are you hiding? Got you. Data was sent to a location west of here.
Data on what? I need to know what's going on.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair that she asked that now. Gotta play it cool, but you gotta know what you're getting into here. Because
Find where Landra went? Then let's talk.
She's probably never seen Far Zenith technology, so.
What was going on in that hologram back there? And why exactly did Landra come here? And what is he doing with my people?
He used them to dig up this place to find some old data. Part of it has to do with something called MSP, which I've never heard of before, but the rest... I think he's trying to build a ship to get off this world and into the stars.
Off this world? Why would anyone want to do that?
Space is cool.
There's something you're not telling me. Oh, you're just like a diviner, full of secrets.
Oh yeah? Well, what about you? The way you reacted to that mural back in the ruin? Care to explain?
Fine. I guess we'll both hold our tongues for now.
All right, look. The important thing is that we know where Landra went, and that's probably where he took your people. And your sister.
Well, that didn't go particularly well. This is hard stuff to figure out and to feel out, and I can understand why both Aloy and Seika are hesitant to share with each other, because we are still in like a very tribal time. Like we're in a time where like people, you're gonna try to protect your people and your well-being, and trust is something that comes at an absolute premium. At this point, there's enough of a commitment from each of them that you probably do need to start letting on. Now, Aloy's hesitance to share is likely because if she says to Seika, well, he's trying to get off the Earth because the Earth's going to explode in a fiery red ball of awfulness, that's a big ask for her to believe, and if she does believe it, well, that's scary. And now everything that she loves and thinks about is turned upside down in a massive way. Like her people, her home, all of it. Because we're either going to have to fight the evil red Magaball, or we're going to have to also leave the Earth. Neither one of those sounds like a particularly fun proposition. So bad things are coming at us. So Aloy, I think, is withholding that information really more so to protect Seika than it is to be withholding. Is Seika somebody that needs protection? We don't know. The only thing that if I was Aloy, I'd be worried about is if Seika's a loose cannon and lets all that information out to her people out of a sense of anxiety about their well-being, and now all of a sudden we have mass panic and hysteria. So I can understand that. However, Aloy could say that. Like, Aloy could say something along the lines of, look, the information is very complex. I am willing to share a little bit of it, but I also don't have enough certainty around it. So I don't want to create panic. I don't want to have people make decisions based on incomplete data, which is why I'm trying to slow play this. So I have reason to believe he's leaving Earth because he's worried that Earth is going to be dangerous soon in the way that it can in some ways be for us. I don't know the full motivations behind it, and I'm trying to figure that out, which is why we need to find him. And then I think she can also say, you know, I appreciate that you want me to be more transparent. It would be helpful for me if you were as well. When we saw that mural, you had a reaction, and I would be curious to know what that's about, because I want to know what I'm working with too. We need to figure out really quickly what are the ways we're either going to empower versus constrain each other if we're going to be working together on this, which is old hat at this point. We've talked about this so many times in this Horizon playthrough of like, you got to talk. You've got to communicate. When you start withholding information despite being on a joint task, you're going to create the kind of tension that just happened between Seika and Aloy, where they butt each other. And they say, well, you didn't, so I'm not. The whole, well, you didn't, so I'm not, that's a poisonous phrase to relationships. Like, at some point, you both are going to have to lean into the vulnerability of trusting the other one and giving information out if this is going to work. If you want this to be more than just quick partners in crime. And a lot of times people will stalemate because they're waiting for the other person to initiate it, when at any point in time, you could control that. Like, Aloy could let on a little bit and see what Seika does, and then Seika could let a little bit on and then see what Aloy does. Neither one of them actually has to wait for the other one.
You're right. Of course. I should report back to the Admiral before we go any further. I'll use the boat we saw from the air to return.
Okay, I'll find you there later.
Yeah, see, I mean, I should report to the Admiral. Like, she answers to her people, and for Aloy, I could see why that's something that makes it hard to want to disclose everything to her. Are those extra paths from Burning Shores? Oops. Whatever. Alright.
Seika was really fired up. Telling her about Nemesis. I can't do that to her. Not now. Not when she's worried about her sister. It's too much of a burden. Right?
You don't get to decide
For
that.
now, maybe I should focus on stocking up. I can meet Seika when it's time to pick up Laundra's trail.
Yeah, burdensomeness. Aloy doesn't totally get to decide that. If it's too much of a burden for Aloy to disclose that information to Seika, then that's a worthwhile piece of information to take into account on your decision making. But the only person that's going to decide whether that information is burdensome is Seika. And the only way you're going to know whether she's going to disclose that is if you tell her. So one of the ways that you could approach her is to say, look, I'm not withholding this information because I don't think that you can handle it. I'm withholding this information because I'm worried about my safety, and I'm worried about the fact that it's a pretty big deal, and I'm worried about overtaxing you and everybody else with the stuff that you're worrying about by disclosing it. So if you're open to me dropping some information that's going to be particularly heavy, you let me know and I will disclose it. If you would like me to wait and you trust that I say it's not urgent right now and that we focus on getting your sister back first, if you trust me on that, then let's go with that and I'll disclose it later. Like, let Seika determine whether it's burdensome to her with a little bit of a warning. Ultimately, she's not going to know if it's burdensome until Aloy drops it. But Aloy having this, oh, do I tell her or do I not? Is it burdensome? That's her taking too much responsibility for all of that. And so many people, I mean, I guarantee you there's people watching this video right now that you do this to people in your life. You're always trying to make the calculation on whether something's going to be burdensome to them. And you likely are making your interpersonal relationships more complicated than they need to be by doing that. Let other people tell you whether things are burdensome. And if there is something particularly heavy you're going to share, maybe give them a heads up and say, let me know when you're ready for some big information and I'll share it with you. I appreciate the empathy, but, you know, would Aloy want somebody to withhold information from her because they're worried about the fact that she's taking on something big? No. Look at all the stupid-ass side quests that we've taken on while actively fighting the end of the world. So if Aloy can handle it, why can't others? Man, California sure is beautiful. You gotta give it that. Particularly when it's not overpopulated and filled with smog. Big win. What the hell am I doing walking around when I can fly? Oh, look at that snake chilling there. Let's go. Well, I don't have any other missions to do. So I'll go this way and uncover some bonfires and stuff. Oh god, watch out for those palm trees. Oh wow, they're destructible? It's actually kind of cool that the palm trees are destructible. Oh, what up, birds? Man. So neat. All right, let's go. What the hell is that? Dude, so you see the shadow of my bird flying above? That's awesome. What is this? What is that? There we go. Come get me. Woo! They're harvesting Leopleurodon, Charlie. Okay, Seika.
Hey, can we switch shifts?
Come on.
Please?
Oh, yeah.
Ow! Oh! Just great.
Is everything okay?
I gave my report to the Admiral. Apparently, some of the crew have called for me to be stripped of rank and cast out.
I'm so sorry, Seika. That must be really hard to take.
It doesn't matter. Where are we headed next?
Yeah. It was nice. I mean, it's a good attempt. And we're seeing exactly what I talked about in the last episode from Seika. Which is that when vulnerability is around, there is an aversion to going there and validating it. So she gets hit with a bit of empathy from Aloy, who obviously can empathize with her to us anyway, not necessarily to Seika. And Seika has the, never mind, it doesn't matter to me, it's fine. That doesn't do you any favors, friends. It really doesn't. Actively just shoving down your emotional experience and the things that are important to you because you're worried it's going to be weak to show that you're affected by something is bad form. You're not going to feel better. It's not going to go away just because you want it to. These things are better managed and worked through when you can acknowledge, like, yeah, this does suck. It is hard to take. I'm upset about it. I feel confused, frustrated, sad, all of these things. And this is a big deal to me because I care about my people and I put a lot of effort into it, and they're stripping me of that rank, which means I might not have the latitude to do what I want to do anymore. That's fine. The emotion of that isn't going to hurt anybody. And if Seika thinks that her emotional experience around that is burdensome, potentially to Aloy, where maybe she's running the same calculus Aloy is running and is like, well, would it be burdensome for her if I showed her how sad I am about this, which could be something she learned. Maybe she was surrounded by people growing up that didn't let her have that. And then she withholds, and now it hurts the ability for her to receive a degree of validation and empathy and emotional intensity mitigation that can come from the experience of validation. And it's a bummer. You're not stronger if you stuff your emotions down. You're not stronger if you ignore them. You're not stronger if you try to convince everybody that you're unaffected by things. You're just placating people who maybe would be more comfortable if you didn't show it. And that's a them problem, not a you problem. Is it possible that Seika's just trying to get a task to focus on because it feels overwhelming to confront? Yeah, but this is too important. I think it's possible. If that's what she's doing, though, she's not helping herself. She's not helping Aloy. Because now her mind and her judgment are clouded. If she's seeing red because she's so angry about this and wants to stay on task and is actively giving off vibes, that's not helpful. If we need to have a second to just explode or let it out or cry or whatever so that we can validate it and move through it and then focus on the task, we should do that. This isn't like an acute stress situation where we're getting dive bombed by a bunch of glint hawks. Where, yeah, maybe we wait. We're at camp. So this shutdown here is like, yes, it could be because she's overwhelmed by it, but stuffing it down isn't going to make it better. That's the biggest point I can make here is like, you're not going to become less overwhelmed because you shut down, steel yourself, and focus on a task. All you're doing is offloading it. You want to, sit down and stuff it and build a model train, go for it. Because if you screw up the model train, that's on you. But when we're talking about a joint endeavor like this that involves multiple people, and Seika's sitting here steaming, but trying to act like she's fine, she's compromised. And that's something that absolutely affects her reliability here. Aloy's not necessarily entitled to the whole story, but Aloy absolutely is entitled to Seika being in reasonably sound mind and body in going on this task because of how important it is. And Aloy knows how important it is. So, if it's not Seika sharing it with me, maybe she needs to share it with somebody else. But it's like, hey, you get to feel that stuff. And you trying to convince me that you're fine and not showing it isn't gonna work. Not if we're gonna be doing this together.
Well, we know where Laundra sent the data from his old company. Somewhere on the mainland.
Aloy's still finding her sea legs with being empathic and warm. So she's gonna take Seika's push off there and run with it because she's not really adept enough to hold the space. And again, if Seika said, look, I don't really want to go there right now and I feel okay, and if you're not comfortable, then you can go do your thing by yourself, then that's totally fine too. Like there's a bit of a stalemate that can happen here. But Aloy saying, well, okay, fine, I won't go there. I'm going to see that as a boundary. And I'm comfortable enough with you stuffing that down to continue giving you information, and let's see how you handle it. I mean, that's certainly in Aloy's... She's within her rights to do that as well. But she's not super adept at holding that space, so she's going to probably bail off of it in the same way Seika is.
And north of where we met. Should be able to fly there.
Yeah, about that. Let's take my skiff this time instead.
Not a fan of flying, huh?
I'm a Marine. I'll take the water over the skies any day.
All right. I'll take your skiff.
Should we get going?
Yeah, let's go.
Follow me.
I know I'm nitpicking this. Okay? I'm well aware. I mean, ostensibly this interaction was fine, but you don't watch me to go, that was fine. There could be real intimacy there if Seika was to say, yeah, I am scared of flying. Didn't realize it, but yeah. I like being on a boat because being in the air was really scary. Even though you knew what you were doing, that was a little too much for me. That's vulnerable. Going in the direction of like, I'm a Marine. I prefer the boats to the planes all day, every day. Like, all right, cool. That's probably true. I'm not discounting that, but there's a missed opportunity there for a degree of intimacy with Aloy if that's something that they want. I'm not even talking about romantic intimacy. Like, just if this is a person that you feel yourself possibly being friends with or want to engage with more, open yourself up to labeling that vulnerability there and be like, yeah, I actually was scared. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a Marine. However, that does explain if the Marines for the Quen are like the Marines that we know. You know, the military in general has a tendency to move people into a space where they are stuffing down their emotional experience and making active decisions despite that emotional experience because of the need to survive. And that has very, very real utility when you are in acute stress situations. Absolutely. Like the ability to fire a weapon under duress and make decisions is not an easy thing to do. And emotion can absolutely cloud that. But the difficult part sometimes can be figuring out context around that, where when you're not in an acute stress situation, it may not actually be beneficial to stuff it down and get all analytical and task oriented. It may actually be beneficial for you to attend to your emotions. And the military, I don't know anything about the Quen military, but the military doesn't do a very good job helping people do that. So that, I think, affects the way that Seika shows up as well.
Nice and easy. And, unlike flying, if you fall off, you don't die.
Well, unless there's a Leopleurodon in there. Oh, cool.
Open water ahead, and Fleet's End disappearing behind us, along with everyone in it.
Why do you put up with them? I mean, I get what it's like to feel as if an entire tribe's against you. I would have stormed out of there a long time ago.
It wasn't always like this. I was a good Marine. A good sister. It felt like I belonged. That belonging is a kind of strength. One that keeps me going even in the roughest seas. When you have something like that, you can't cast it aside.
I see. You know, your people don't know how lucky they are to have you.
I don't know about that.
I do.
Oh, that was nice.
Well, seems like the coordinates are leading us towards that Horus.
That thing gives me the creeps. On clear nights, we can see it from the camp looming over us.
You know, there may be some degree of this for Seika that it's even less
There!
about being on the water.
On the shore!
and more about just having control.
Then we're on the right track.
I'll take us in.
She doesn't have the information. She doesn't know why we're doing this. She's got Aloy taking control. Nice to have a little bit of control here and there where she gets to drive the boat. It's understandable.
Okay, the coordinates point to somewhere up the hill.
After you.
A lobster walking forward. Well, I guess they swim backwards, right? When lobsters walk, do they walk forward like that? They swim backwards. Maybe I'm getting confused. I'm not a lobster expert.
Definitely seems like we're heading for the Metal Devil. Why would Laundra send his data here?
I'm not sure. It's an odd place to bring a bunch of Quen, too.
I just hope we find them.
Back up to the Hollywood sign.
My people were here, all right. Looks like they headed further up the hill.
Coordinates lead that way, too. Barrier. Laundra must have set it up.
Doesn't look like there's a way past it.
There's some kind of device on the other side. I think I can scan it.
I tried that before. Oh, God!
You okay?
All right. Let's see what's on this thing.
A Reaper.
It looks like there's something further in.
Some kind of compound. Laundra might be in there. You're missing people, too.
I'm not seeing a way past the barrier.
There. It's some kind of power generator. Hooked up to the arm of the Horus. Laundra's figured out how to get part of it working again.
Oh,
A
God.
Metal Devil can't actually wake up, can it?
I'm not sure. But at least right now, it must be how Laundra's powering the barrier.
So if we can find a way to shut down those generators, it should come down.
It's worth a shot, at least. Looks like there are 2 of them nearby. Come on, let's get going. The generators should be back down the hill.
They really do look like Reapers. Dude, if that thing came back online, that would be utterly terrifying.
Whoa! Look at that! Above us!
Laundra went to a lot of trouble to power that shield.
Got a couple of our big ugly friends, too. Ugh! And more eggs.
They just put some bullfrogs.
Probably.
Put some toads in there. That'll stop them. Big, giant, amazing space tech.
Now, here we go!
And I can take it down with bow and arrow. Guaranteed. Whoa! Oh! It ate the bug.
Special.
That's so cool.
I got it.
Oh, big boy. Big boy.
That made a dent.
Oh, God. God, these things are so yucky.
Yes! Ropes are holding. Not a bad strategy.
Beep boop boop. Big froggy boy. What a cool machine.
I can grab this from my stash later.
Alright, let's go hack this thing. Maybe.
Oh! Don't worry about me. I like climbing.
Okay,
Oh,
let's see
get
if we
your
can
own
shut this
wire.
thing down.
Guy should have put a shield around this.
Some kind of power core. I can't hit the core on my own. Seika, I need you to shoot the core.
Got it.
One down. Now for the other generator.
Nice. His ring alert might have just gone off. That one generator shut down. So we should probably hurry.
Here's to the hut.
So many eggs. Go.
Hatch eating at its armor.
You're on.
There. Now we can focus on the generators.
Neat.
Okay, here we go again. back to the bunker entrance. Barrier should be gone now.
Ancestors, I hope my people are in there.
What a great noise. I could listen to that thing get shut down all day.
You know, the last time I saw my sister, I was relieved she was leaving for a scouting mission. I guess I wanted a break from her.
I get it. Things aren't always easy with my sister either.
I thought you said you were an outcast.
I only met her recently. It's a long story.
Always full of surprises, huh?
I try. Point is, I'm sure your sister will be glad to see you.
I don't know. But it's nice of you to say.
Development of empathy. Seems like this DLC is Aloy's journey through doing her best to try to empathize with the people around her, since she has traditionally taken a loner approach to the world. And as a result of that, Aloy is engaging in what we would consider to be the infant stages of empathy, which is where you constantly make one-to-one comparisons in your own life and talk about them as a way to try to connect with people. It's not a bad thing, it's just not super sophisticated. So Seika starts talking about her sister. Vulnerable thing. It's self-disclosure, by the way, is the pathway to intimacy. So she's starting to share a little bit about her sister. Talk about the last time she saw her. There's probably more to it beyond, I was glad to see her go. And Aloy wants to be empathic. She wants to acknowledge Seika's experience. And instead of saying, well, tell me more about that, or what was that like for you, or getting more information and being curious, or connecting in a more benign way by saying, sounds like you're sad about that, or whatnot, because maybe Aloy's had that similar experience and says, what was your relationship with your sister like? Because I know they can be complicated. She says, yeah, my relationship with my sister is complicated too. Sometimes it works. In this case, it seems to have mostly worked. But you gotta be careful with using that as the means to empathize with people, because you can inadvertently hijack the scenario. You start making it about you. Reality is, does Aloy have a complicated relationship with Beta? Sure. Does that give her some experience that makes it so that she can empathize with the complexities of having a sibling? Yes. Does it mean that she understands Seika's situation? Not even remotely. Which is where that form of empathy falls short. Because now it's, there's always going to be a comparison there between your experience and the experience of the other person. So instead of immediately saying, I went to Texas once and it was this, you might say, traveling can be difficult. What was it like for you? The traveling can be difficult might come from a personal experience, but you're not actively disclosing what that was. You're using it as a way to connect with that emotional experience. So Aloy, still being in her infant stages of expressing empathy and connecting with people, is showing here. And that's okay. She'll get better. Just want to make sure I emphasize that, because I see people do that a lot and it doesn't always go over well. It's not a high odds probability that people are going to feel connected to when you immediately disclose your own experience when they're trying to share theirs. It would be one thing if Seika disclosed a whole bunch of stuff. They had a conversation. Seika said, what's the relationship like with your sibling? Do you have any siblings? In which case, Aloy could certainly speak to her experience. Jumping right into that as a means to connect. You can do better.
It worked! Barrier's gone!
Let's head in.
Man, you really would think he'd have put more security.
Looks like this place still has some power.
Generators must have just been for the shield.
Plague of Frogs. On the whole, I find Sobek's machines tiresome. Do we really need terraforming robots to resemble giant lizards? The megafauna metaphor is almost comically trite. It reminds me of Evelyn's Hollows, which in the end are little more than childish popcorn fodder designed to separate tired parents from their surplus cash. That said, the big froggy things have manifested some useful behavior. Part of their function is to recycle technological components, and accordingly, they've attracted to some of my recently installed devices. Yet they don't seem to know how to process them, so they just kind of hang around and root through the rubble for scrap. The upside? They discourage the locals from trifling with my toys. Who knows, with a little luck, maybe they'll discourage the redhead as well. Oh, good. He knows I'm coming. Glad he took the time to write that and then leave it out in the open so I could read it. What's going on over here? Howdy, folks.
Your people. And another mural.
Yeah. Why are they all just waiting?
Let's find out.
Ooh, listen to those harmonics on the guitar. Might be what that is. Sounds kind of like it.
See, I told you more would be chosen.
All right, what do we got here?
Seika, have you come to join us?
Join you?
Yeah, we have. It took a while, but we finally made it.
A barbarian, one of the chosen. Impossible. Zeth would never allow this.
How did you get in without him?
Well, Zeth sent us, actually. After we helped him out of that ambush in the wild.
Brutal. If I'm standing at that door, I'm like, confidence, conviction. These are the things that will get people to believe your lies. You walk anywhere, when people say you could walk into any building with a clipboard and go anywhere you want, you have to walk into a building confidently with a clipboard. You can't just walk in with a clipboard and be like... So, Aloy's missing the conviction piece on this, which she's making it up on the fly, and not everybody's great at improvising. Like, I'm not being critical of Aloy here, it's just like, oh boy, this ain't going well. She keeps looking over at Seika, like, it's just the whole thing. It's like, right? Uh-huh, right? No, like, just look him in the eye, tell him a super simple story. Oh, he sent me. If you have a problem with that, you can take it up with him.
Right. You see, I was on my way here with him when machines attacked us.
Hate this.
We tried to hold them off, but we were outnumbered.
Nope.
That's
Nope,
when
you have to keep it
Aloy
simple.
here came to the rescue.
Keep it simple. Let other people fill in the blanks, man. Lying 101. Don't dig yourself into a bunch of details that you can't remember 5 seconds from now because you're constructing it on the fly. Keep it simple. Let them ask questions. React. Be clear. Put it back on them. And, you know, you want to be a better liar? Don't do this.
I was exploring the region when I ran across them, so I just rushed in to help.
You should have seen her. One of the best machine hunters I've ever met. She saved Zeth's life.
Oh, I was just doing what I could.
Zeth had something important he needed to take care of after, so he said to go on without him.
And that's when he told us how to lower the barrier and said we should head straight inside.
Zeth really needed a barbarian to get him out of trouble.
We all need a little supporting fire every now and then.
Well, Zeth gave them the okay.
You guys are
And
idiots.
I am not risking one of his outbursts. Let the others inside know about our new arrivals, will you?
Fine. But I'm not letting them into the Ascension Hall until they prove they're devoted. Just like everyone else.
Stupid.
And I'll be interested to hear Zeth's side of this when he returns.
Oh, by all means.
Don't mind him. Good luck in there, Seika. May you both embrace his light.
Oh, that had to have been for levity. Big yikes.
That was close. I can't believe my people are here willingly. And they answered to Zeth.
Well, your people, Seika, appear to be very gullible. If I could convince them to let me into this sacred place with that cockamamie story, then yeah, they're probably susceptible to influence from people who are far more intelligent with far more conviction than I have. Time to stop being surprised, Seika, because if we just got through that door... Ugh.
He sounds like a great guy.
Let's get to this Ascension Hall before you have to meet him.
A hologram of Landra.
Welcome, my chosen. You have wandered, you have suffered, but you are lost no more. For I have found you, and I offer you what you deserve. The Ascension. So be at ease, forget what you think you know, and embrace this moment. A new world awaits.
Okay.
Yay. Yay, more cult things. Yay. Hello, withered and confused. People who feel isolated and as if they don't understand the world around them. Hello, people who have been beaten to shit and are vulnerable beyond comprehension. It is I, your person with very strong convictions and confidence, who possesses the answers to the things that you have questions for, but also possesses the resources to provide you a sense of comfort and belonging that you've been dying to have for however long it is you've been dying to have it. Intrigued? Well, it can't hurt to check it out. You think you know some stuff? Well, you're about to know some more stuff. And I would love to share it with you. It's my privilege. You deserve that. You deserve better. And I am aware of what that is and am going to impart it upon you. That goes over real well with vulnerable. Like, if you listen to me like, wow, you sound like a pretentious douche, it's probably because you're not feeling lost. You're probably not feeling a lack of belonging in something, and you're not in a particularly vulnerable place. So hearing what that guy has to say is not particularly useful. But if you are beaten to shit and withered and vulnerable, that kind of sentiment is something that can take people in. That people will willingly walk through those doors and give it a shot, because why not? Everything else sucks ass. I went around the streets of Hollywood looking for answers to my questions, and I didn't get anything. And I went to my family, didn't get anything. Went to doctors, got nothing. I'm constantly living in fear. I don't really know who I am. Nobody seems to accept me. You're saying that you're willing to invite me in here and accept me, that you're willing to let me belong, that this is a group of people who have generally felt misfits so that I have a shared experience that connects me to them? Sign me up. I'll take that chance. Can't be worse than whatever steel-toed boots of life have been kicking me in the balls up until this point. That's how it happens, friends. That's how people get sucked into these types of things. That is one hearty glass.
Oh, that's a lot of Landra.
So he wants us to embrace his light. Literally.
We'd better keep up appearances in here.
I'll try.
I'm just gonna go this way. Oh God. Bet this guy rubs one out to himself. Gross.
Gotta pretend I look up to Landra. Yuck.
Wow. Wow. Look at this guy. Whoa. Profile view. Whoa. Dude, this is... Man.
Look, Aloy. This one is just... I have no words.
DrMick. Quite an impression.
God. Oh. Oh, God. Him and Teddy. Okay. So... we're gonna do some lessons here in cults. I've had to talk about this way too much, but if you're asking yourself how could anybody possibly walk into a space like this and think, yeah, that's cool, you are missing the very real point of how development and your awareness of development as a continuum as opposed to a set of nodal points works. Yeah, on the outset, if you walk into this room with zero context around this, you look at this and go, gross. What the hell? Because you're using your preconceived notions and schema in order to make sense of this moment. Like, damn, that looks like some real narcissism. Or at least self-indulgence, or whatever, self-importance. Ego on a poster. But any one of us could potentially find ourselves in a scenario where we see something like this and we don't think much of it. Because this is the type of thing that happens as a culmination of development. I guarantee you when people first walked into this space, it didn't necessarily look like this. Or if it did, the people that walked into it were particularly vulnerable and didn't really care enough about it. So this kind of thing happens where over time, as Landra provides things for you, resources, safety, belonging, purpose, all these amazingly wonderful things to experience that humans tend to crave, over time, as your needs are met and you're feeling good and you're feeling that belonging, putting a poster up of the person that has helped facilitate that process for you stops becoming weird and becomes a tribute where you go, yeah, I want everybody else to understand the massively profound impact that this person has had on me. Landra has provided me with something that I never would have otherwise had access to. These are the types of things people in cults will say. And so the idea that you would look at this and think like, oh man, I'm in a cult. No, you would look at it and be like, well, I'm part of a group that's really making awesome things happen. And I have purpose, and all of these people love me, and I can be myself, and there's no I've broken from the shackles of reality. This is a scary place to live, and I was aimless, and now I have something to sink my teeth into, and I owe it all to the person who was benevolent enough to provide it to me. You don't see that as weird when you've been there since ground zero. The best metaphor that I can think of for this is, think of if you have like a nephew, like I do, who I don't get to see regularly. Every single time I see my nephew, there is a really significant change that I see. And it's jarring because you're like, whoa, like you can speak in full sentences now? You couldn't do that last time I saw you. Whereas if you're with him every day, you're with that, like you don't really see the developmental markers in the same way. Where if your kid does something kind of weird, you don't really see it as weird because you've seen the development of that thing happen. You've been party to it all the way through. Whereas when people come in at different parts of the continuum, they're going to see it in different ways, which is really the point I'm making here. Like, this isn't weird for a lot of the Quen that are in here. It's weird for us, not weird for them. And they have their reasons for that. So, can you come in here guns blazing and say, yo, y'all are in a cult. What are you doing? This is weird. It's not going to work. In part because cults have a really good defense, a really good Department of Defense. Generally, outsiders are viewed as threats. They don't understand. They haven't been in this. They're not going to understand what it is that you get from this. You're going to want to protect it at all costs and set your boundaries. They'll try to take things that are generally healthy to do and use them for not so great things, because everything is about perpetuating the agenda of the cult and usually perpetuating the agenda of the leader of the cult. So they're prepared to defend themselves if we come in here and try to suggest that they're in a cult. That kind of rhetoric is not generally going to get people out of it. You actually have to understand why people joined in the first place. You have to understand what they're getting out of it, why they follow this. You have to be as curious as possible, despite how difficult it is to do sometimes, in order to get an understanding of what exactly is going on, and to have a window into where you can find those little bits of understanding for a person so that maybe you can help them get out of it. But getting people out of cults is really hard. It can also be dangerous for them. Anyway, I made my point. Wow, look how cool you are, dude. All right, so let's see how he's been coercing people in.
I'd like you to meet some old friends of mine. See, we were at the best party in town, celebrating our big win. And while everyone's attention was on me, my ex-business partner, well, he barges in, and he's jealous of our success. And he throws a drink in my face, but not a drop hit me. Because my bodyguard, Jack, he tackled him to the floor. And the others, Riley and Nolan and Parker, well, they made sure he was kicked out. But it was my Evelyn who encouraged everyone to just laugh it off. I adored them. Their dedication to me meant everything, more than any award. And it ended up being the best night of my life.
I guess Londra's used to people worshipping him.
Gross.
Oh, God. Okay. DrMick, how does this happen? How does a person become like that? There's any number of reasons how it can happen. It often starts with resources. At the end of the day, as we talked about, I think in the last episode, humans are animals. And humans will generally be loyal to the things that facilitate survival. When you have had the opportunity to accumulate a significant amount of resources and you provide things for people that make them feel safe and entertained, particularly if you can do both, people will start to think very highly of you. And they will reinforce whatever sense of importance you may have about yourself. It could very well start out from a good place. I want to help people. I want to provide people with something that they care very deeply about. I want to entertain them. I want to provide, as a movie star, I want to provide them a space to escape their struggles, even if it's just for an hour and a half. I want to provide that. I want to teleport them in. You know, I want to create a cartoon that people will watch and they will escape all of the nastiness in their life for a little while and have something that they feel like they can personally connect to and maybe even idealize. And then you get all of this social adoration and reinforcement for how important you are because you might provide that for people. And then you get financial resources. And you can start taking care of people. You can start throwing your weight around. You can start making big decisions that impact people on widespread levels. And then people will start to adore you and you will start to eat that up. And if you don't have people holding you in check as that process is happening, you could very well end up like him. Like, the capacity for that is within all of us. Now, he very well could have some really deep-seated insecurities and traumas from when he was a child. I mean, who knows? Perhaps he had parents that told him he wouldn't ever amount to anything, and he was a piece of shit, and he was a burden to them. And they wish he never existed. And then now he's in a position as an adult where he's like, he can exert his influence and basically be like, see, I do matter. I am something. I'm going to have more of an impact than you ever could have imagined. Not saying that's the case, but it's certainly a possibility. These are the types of things that drive people into this space. And when you see people, when you're in an award ceremony and you earn an award and you see people cheering for you, yeah, you start to believe that you matter to people as much as you matter to yourself. So this is why it's so deeply important to have people you trust in your corner to hold you accountable, to remaining humble, to letting other people brag for you, to make the assumption that you're not more important to people than they are to themselves. It's really hard to do that. It's a hard way to wield responsibility, because when you possess that much influence, you have the ability to survive just about anything and help other people survive just about anything. And you stop worrying about some of the things that many of us worry about as a means to belong and be able to gather resources and survive the world we live in. So we're going to take a second and really get in there and try to empathize. At the end of the day, boy, is it hard to listen to. Like, yikes. Old Landra's got quite the ego. Oh my god, man. How many poses? Ugh. God, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse than Teddy. Writing this down so I can try to get it all straight. Nolan handled Walter's money. Jack was his bodyguard. Riley was his aesthetics advisor. Wait, no, that's wrong. Riley did something called PR. Who was the other one? Oh, no, I can't remember. What am I doing? I don't know anything about the ancients. I'm just a sailor, not a diviner. I don't even know if this is part of the review. I mean, Teddy still pulled the plug on Apollo, so don't get me wrong. Teddy doesn't skate free just because this guy sucks too. Oh my god.
Ah, you must be the ones Brennick mentioned. 2 more souls chosen to leave our thankless old life behind.
Yes, that is us.
It's Kiral, right? You were stationed on the Spark? In my former life, yes. Just one more Marine bound to a hopeless expedition. Ugh. Enough of that. As Walter says, we must forget the past. Our suffering led us here after all. And now, the Ascension is almost upon us. This place is such a wonder, isn't it?
I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, but it is still nothing compared to what's in the Ascension Hall. You've been inside? Indeed. I proved my devotion not long before you joined us. Now I wait to be taken to what lies ahead. One step closer to the Ascension.
Oh, God, this is so hard. Oh, my goodness gracious. There it is. There it is. I was but a peon. I was a Marine. I was a number. I was cast aside. I was meaningless. It was all work to no benefit. It was all for a greater good that never took care of me back. But here, I have purpose. My devotion is rewarded. They care. Walter cares about me. Look at all that he's provided for us. I now have purpose. I have something to look forward to. Dude, this shit's real, man, and it's really scary. Like, it is a way... It is the dark side of the human need for connection. It is a psychological trick that people in power can pull and get people to do wild things. And, you know, we talk about this in the context of cults, but this happens just in certain groups. I'm going to say something that's probably not particularly popular to say, but where this applies in one of the more socially acceptable ways is the military. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people join the military because they don't really know what they want to do. And the military provides structure. It provides purpose. That's why we talk, like, you hear all of these really high level things about how, like, you're a patriot and you're sacrificing yourself for the greater good. And you have all these nice rules and belonging and adoration. And, you know, thank you for your service. Fuck you when you get out. VA sucks. But for now, when you're in, oh, baby, look how awesome you are. Come board the plane first. Like, all these sorts of things. That facilitates a level of groupthink within. Again, I'm not saying the military is a cult, but there are pieces of how you induct people into a space where they will do things that you generally wouldn't fathom because of what that is. Grabbing a weapon and running into battle in a foreign country that is insufferably hot with no accommodations is not something that people just willingly do for fun. You have to have a sense of purpose around that. In the same way that drinking poisonous Kool-Aid and killing yourself and your children is not something that people willingly do unless there is a strongly built sense of community and purpose around that. So you prey on people in cults who are lost. You don't get people in cults who have high self-esteem with a great support system. Although that can happen too, but that is way more rare. You get people who really don't feel a sense of direction, don't have a strong sense of self-worth, don't know their purpose, don't critically think about their themselves in space-time, and are susceptible to influence from people who have ulterior agendas that they're not going to overtly share. And Walter possesses that level of resource to get these people to believe that they're doing something that's bigger than themselves and that they're participating in it. When in reality, he's probably going to hop on a ship and leave, and they're going to leave him there to die. But you won't be able to convince them of that. Not at the outset. Deprogramming from cults is a ridiculously difficult thing to do. It's a ridiculously difficult thing to do. Because they are prepared. Oh, you want an even better example. Not even, I mean, the military is a good example, but an even better example. Multi-level marketing companies are a perfect example of this. They are essentially corporate cults. And if you have ever tried to talk to somebody who's in a multi-level marketing program about the fact that they are part of a pyramid scheme, they have a laundry list of different ways that they can fight you on that and try to convince you that you're wrong and that you just don't understand. That's another example. And again, it's all belonging and resource and purpose and the greater good and true belief that what you're doing is meaningful in a way that people just don't understand. Outsiders just don't understand, and it's on you to help them figure it out and be a part of it and spread that good news. This shit's everywhere. We're all susceptible to it. And as soon as you believe you're not susceptible to it, you're in big trouble. Every single one of us is susceptible to this kind of thing, if the circumstances are right. So anyway, I've belabored this a bit, but I had no idea that this is what we were going to walk into on this stream. So the professor that actually ended up inspiring me to become a marriage and family therapist, his expertise was in cults, and I was in a sociology class of his that was all about cults, and it was a very fascinating class.
You mentioned you're waiting for what lies ahead, and we're still getting up to speed, but I thought the Ascension Hall was where we needed to go.
You're not the first to fail to grasp Walter's plan for us. Now that I've seen what's in the hall, my rank is secure. But there is something more that he's offering us. I just know it. It has to be why the devoted are escorted to another place. And as soon as Zeth returns, he'll take me there. I'm ready.
Do you have any idea where this place is exactly?
The devoted are taken to a separate place. You know why? Because once they're in and they're locked in, we don't even want to remotely put them in a position where doubt could enter their minds. This guy knows what he's doing. Because if the cult is an auditorium and the ultimate enlightenment is the stage, and you enter the auditorium from the back, the closer you are to the people in the back, the closer you are to doubt and to the possibility that you will hear something that pings dissonance that makes you turn around and walk out. So the farther you get shuffled down toward the stage and then eventually taken in the back, the farther away you are from new people coming into the auditorium with other ideas. Now the more you're in with people who have made this massive echo chamber to a point that it becomes almost impenetrable. So moving people into a different space, if I'm thinking about it just from an ideological perspective, is a way to get them to just be so ridiculously mentally homogenous and myopic that they are never going to be convinced otherwise of where they currently are. And then you've got them, right? So he's got this rite of passage where you have to put effort. So now you have cost sunk. You have you've mentally sunk yourself into this. You're building an identity around it. You change your clothes, you change your hair, you do your makeup. Like there's all these things that make it so that this is something that you are constantly adorned in. It's something that you're so sunk into at this point that even if you had a bit of dissonance enter your mind, you're way too invested at this point to pull out. It's, oh God, man, it gives you the skeevies. And all it is really a stripping of autonomy in the spirit of fulfilling an agenda that you're not really even a part of. By the way, there's another part of this that I want to talk about that is, I think, equally important to understand, which is that with enough time, so let's imagine that Walter knows exactly what he's doing. Walter Landra knows that he is, he knows that he's using these people to meet some sort of end. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna dupe these people, and I'm gonna use them because I need them. And maybe he has some good self-esteem, but he's not this egomaniacal maniac that we're potentially seeing here in this chamber. Unfortunately, with time and with adoration and with the success of the cult, he may actually start to believe some of the stuff that he is showing all of these people, where he may actually start to believe that he is some sort of messiah, that he actually does possess powers that are beyond normal human comprehension and ability. Because look at all these people who worship me for all of these reasons. Maybe there's truth to it. Like, that happens too. And so then there becomes this symbiosis between the leadership of cults and the followers of cults, because we have a tendency to talk about cults as like the leaders of this separate thing that know that it's a cult, and the people that are in the cult are being duped in. But there's a reciprocity to that, where eventually you can actually get the entire system to be clicking on all cylinders, where everybody's in on it, because we've echo chambered this and made it impenetrable to the outside so heavily that there's really we're at a point of no return. We're fully steeped in our belief about who we are and what we're about.
Somewhere that brings us closer to Walter. To his embrace.
No, I don't have the reading list for that class, Wordsmith. That was back in 2008. That was when I was a freshman in college.
So you've been inside the Ascension Hall. Is it as special as we think it is?
I shouldn't say. I wouldn't want to deny you the same experience I had.
Thank you.
Come on,
Appreciate that.
Kiral. Just a hint? We're dying to know what's inside.
I'll tell you this. It's breathtaking. Like the moment Walter first appeared before our boat, but better. Prove your devotion, and you'll see.
Oh, God.
Well, thanks for talking with us, Kiral. We should get back to learning about Walter.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Good luck with your studies. I hope to see you at the Ascension.
Oh, God. This is pain, man. This is real pain. I feel very sad for
ascend?
all of these people.
I
Like,
know I am.
there's... Oh, God.
Walter's new world will be truly wonderful.
Wow, look at him at the helm. Look at those strong, white knuckle in the
This
wheel.
guy again.
The wheels of progress are churning. Wow. Ascend. Wow. God, oh my God. I gotta give a real shout out to Gorilla. Like, they really nailed this, and it is just like, they had to have wanted everybody to be ridiculously uncomfortable when they walked in here, and this is something. This is really something. Oh my God.
Sit with me.
Walter has led such an inspiring life.
Rennick was telling the truth.
I'd like to tell you a story. Once, I had a home on this world, with the most beautiful view of the city.
Wow.
Me and my wife, we used to love to sit and watch the city lights twinkle in the evening haze. It's our moment of serenity. But then the time of ashes came. And while the heavens offered an escape, only I survived and grasped the secrets of immortality. Evelyn, everyone I ever cherished, they were gone. And I was alone. Which is why I am so glad to have met you. Soon, you and I shall spend eternity on a new world. Every sunset. Together.
I'd rather sail into another typhoon than spend an eternity with him.
Yes, because you possess a level of self-worth
Take a moment, don't be shy.
that makes it so that that kind of thing doesn't feel good to hear. That's gracious. There's two groups of people that are incredibly susceptible to influence and terrible agendas by adults. They are very emotionally vulnerable adults and children. It's why you should be pretty weary of things that try to get children involved and unquestioning early.
They've been feasting like Imperials.
Yep.
Wondrous benevolence, I bet.
Yep. Exactly what I'm talking about. That, you'll never have an empty stomach ever again. You get live music, and look who's around watching over, letting you know that he provided it for you. Which, by the way, is another thing that facilitates connectiveness. Because so many of us who aren't rich, like myself, and like I'm sure the majority of people watching this, like to believe that if we had as much resources as Walter Landra or Ted Farrow, that we would use it for good. We like to believe that we would do that. And I think many of us would. And I think many of us are duping ourselves into thinking that we would. And that inherently appeals to people when they are the beneficiaries of benevolence. So when he provides food like this, you're not necessarily going to say to yourself, well, he's keeping our bellies full and our taste buds happy because he's trying to coerce us into doing his bidding. You might say, well, that's what I would do. If I had that much money, I'd take care of people too. He must be a really good guy. He and I are very similar. Honestly, I think it's the average person's belief that they will become a billionaire like this, or that they could become a billionaire like this, that is very problematic and perpetuates a lot of the problems that having billionaires creates. As everybody wants to believe that they themselves could be in that position at some point, and if they were, they would do these things. And so you see this guy who's got all these things, who takes the time for the little guy, and you believe that you would do the same, and that it's on the table for you, and it's not. Because there could be an ulterior motive. And generally, if we're talking about somebody with an exponentially huge amount more resources than you have, it probably is an ulterior agenda. And that sucks. It makes you hard to trust. But you don't want to take this at face value, or else you're wearing white and gold robes. Or blue and black, depending on what you see. This mural is cool. Oh, God. Okay, well, I think we'll talk to Brennick and enter the Hall of Ascension in part 4. That was quite the bit to chew on here. Hope you enjoyed it. God. This got icky real fast. We went from the beautiful landscape of Los Angeles to the Church of Walter Landra. Whew. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Please leave a like. Leave a like if you might not have liked what you saw, but if you liked the stream, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, check the links down below, and come hang out with us sometime. I'd love to have you here. If you're binging, I will see you at the door of the Ascendance Hall in the next episode. If you're waiting for the next one to come out, get it out for you as soon as we can. Appreciate you. You matter. Catch you on the next one.